Welcome back, everybody. And I'd now like to hand you over to Kevin. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. And we are back. Welcome to Building and Scaling Winning Teams with Peacock TV. Don't forget to type your questions in the Q&A box at any point throughout the session. Presenting this session will be Jeremy Wintroub, VP, Head of Creative Operations at Peacock. Over to you, Jeremy.
Kevin, thank you so much. And before I jump in, I do want to just thank the entire Henry Stewart events team for all their care and getting ready for today's session, and you, Kevin, for moderating today's session. Hello, I am Jeremy Wintroub, and I lead creative operations for Peacock at NBC Universal, which means that as I talk to you today, I'm literally sitting in 30 Rockefeller Plaza, one of the most iconic buildings in America, where every day we get to ply our trade doing some of the finest creative operations work that we think is happening in the business. I'm really looking forward to the conversation aspect of today's chat. So please, please, please hit me up in the chat window with any questions, anything, any challenges, anything you want to talk about as we go through today's presentation. Today, we're going to talk about more of the human side, the softer skills of building and managing an incredible team of creative operations professionals. I'll share some personal management experience and an approach I like to use with my team and my stakeholders. But just know that there is no right answer when it comes to scaling and building and managing winning teams. There are many different approaches to leading, to being part of a great team. I'll share with you one approach today, but whatever you're doing that is successful, keep leaning into it. Don't take the advice of some guy at a conference just because you heard it there. Feel free to use your own methodologies. My goal for you today is just to be able to take a few nuggets back that you can use as you build or contribute on your own teams. Before we jump into today's topic, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. As you'll see, getting to know and understanding the people that you lead and work with is an immense part, I think, of success. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. Stand by. So hello. I am, first of all, a husband and father to two great kids. On the left there, you see my 6-year-old son, Leo, and on the right is my great boy, Gabe. He's 10. I have been at NBC Universal for 16 years, and I like to euphemistically use this picture of Michael Scott from our beloved franchise, The Office, which launched on NBC many, many years ago, 2004, and which has been an anchor of Peacock streaming service. And no, I don't believe I'm the world's best boss. That is truly tongue-in-cheek. I love to play paddle tennis. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this wonderful game, but during the pandemic, I found an incredible community of folks who, in the middle of winter, with a beer or hot chocolate, would go out into the world and play this fine game, which is like tennis on a smaller court. I love to play paddle. And finally, in 2016, the Cubs winning the World Series was probably one of the finest moments of my life. I love the Cubs, born and raised in Chicago. So that's a little bit about me. Now I want to tell you a little bit about Peacock. So Peacock is a streaming service that launched in 2020, yes, right in the middle of the pandemic. And today we have over 50 million active users. We are a streaming video on demand service, and we are NBC Universal's entrant into the streaming wars, as it's known. Our service features timeless favorites, Peacock originals, hundreds of movies and live sports, timely news, late night reality, kids and family, and a whole lot of content for Latino and 200%ers, people that speak both English and Spanish. We are a broad SVOD with over 70,000 hours of content. It says 50,000, but now it's 70,000. Here on the screen, I have just some examples of the types of content, the premium content that we use in the market, which is where the creative operations team comes in. As you can see, we market across a vast range of content, and each of this content comes with its own special ways of going into the market, which is a real hallmark of our team. We can and do produce any content for any channel, and I'll tell you a little bit more about our volume in just a second. But when we try to explain what creative operations is internally, we have some explaining to do. It's a relatively new term. It's a term that I've only seen in the market for 5 or 6 years. And so we recently had the opportunity to speak at an all hands meeting, over 1,000 employees of Peacock. And we put together a little video that I want to show to you now. And I can also use this video to explain to my mom what it is that I do. So let me show you.
We all have seen these. Key art, original trailers, Peacock promos, banner ads, all things creative marketing to let the world know what we have going on at Peacock. But do you know how these things get created? First, the show has to get shot, so we engage with development to understand what it's about and how to market it. Then we collaborate on a super brief, build timelines, confirm priorities, and crunch budgets. Then we send photo teams to set to begin capturing episodics. We meet with creative agencies to come up with concepts. Ooh, I like that one. Nice. We pass that creative to executives. We gather all requirements from each department, reach out to the show for scheduling, get bids from third-party production companies, talk with lawyers. Not those. These guys. Hire production companies, hire gallery photographers, get the shoots on a hard drive, send the drive to the media managers, upload that to our archive, hire creative to cut trailers and make key art, develop a suite of creative assets, go through rounds and rounds of creative approval. Approved. Build an order management system, get the tech specs. Hey, what about Peacock 2.0 graphics? Got them. Order versions of that creative. Send out orders to even more production companies. Manage, review, and approve for delivery. Route them through our quality control team. Gather reports on issues. Check them into the archive. Send over to traffic. Gather paperwork. Generate readout. Improve the process. And do it all over again. It takes a lot of people to get this much work done. And today, I am proud to introduce you to the Creative Operations team. With our fingers on the pulse of today, and our eyes on the technology of tomorrow, Creative Operations has one goal: to be the best creative marketing department in streaming. And with that, we'd like to tell you a little bit more about the Creative Operations team. We all have.
So now I'll tell you a little bit more about the Peacock Creative Operations team. So we are about 45 directors, project managers, production managers, coordinators, and asset specialists. We partner very closely with our colleagues in marketing and creative to build and sustain the largest campaigns in the US. We, on an annual basis, deliver over 50,000 assets across 150 campaigns. And we like to say, as the creative operations team working in partnership with our creative, if you need it, we will make it. We are truly a service-led organization. We have over 2,800 specs in our asset database. We've produced new to market units. We've produced assets that we had never even heard of when we got the brief. It's a hallmark of our team to be able to produce at scale and all of the newest kinds of creative that convert people into folks that want to try Peacock and love Peacock as we go through our acquisition, retention, and engagement funnel. We have over 5 million video and image files under our management across our DAM and media asset management system, and teams dedicated to making sure that we use that efficiently. And we are now located across 6 offices across the US and the globe in some cases. We are a remote team, we are a hybrid team, and we are an office team. We truly flex to meet the needs of the business. And one of the biggest kind of upcoming challenges ahead of us is how, now that we are in all these different states, we're not all sitting around Zooms anymore. How do we continue to build the culture of the creative operations team to match the moment? We start with a really critical distillation of who we are and try to use this mission, vision, and values to drive all of the work that we do and make sure that members on the team are very clear about how we're going to operate. Our mission is to orchestrate world-class creative campaigns, do them on time, do them on budget, and error-free. And I'm proud to tell you that we are tracking well ahead of all of those metrics for 2022. We deliver great work. We do it on time, and we keep bending the cost curve, and we make it lovelier to work here. So we really want to make creative in a place where people want to work. Our vision is to build the best marketing creative team in streaming. We know the streaming wars are hot. We know there are many different ways to deliver content to the market. We want to be the best place to work so we can continue to attract the best talent to Peacock. And then we lead with our values to demonstrate empathy, curiosity, transparency, and inclusiveness, to work hard but have fun together. We often say we are not brain surgeons. We are entertaining the world. And it's important that we laugh together, that we have fun together, and because we do work very hard. We try new things and we're okay with failing. We build scalable workflows and we teach others to use them. I've seen creative operations teams sometimes get stuck in an area where they wind up being Sherpas of information, where they're giving the information out piecemeal. We want to make others use our information systems in a way that's efficient for the entire organization. We find a way to make it happen, and we also mitigate and spot risk. We're decisive, and we encourage others to be action-oriented as well, and we believe that good ideas deserve to take flight. So that's a little bit about the creative operations team. But today's topic is about how do you build and manage great teams? And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I believe it takes to win. And I have a very hokey acronym that I use in everyday life called the caravan approach. A caravan, as you may know, is now linked with this kind of fun camper van, but it's also in its original language was used to denote a group of folks traveling a very long distance, sometimes in the desert with camels, but that team needed to all work together in order to get to their goal across difficult conditions. So the caravan approach is made up of 7 acronyms. I'm going to take you through them today, and we'll leave some time for questions. So the first C stands for curatorial. This, I believe, is super critical to success. I'm sorry, I'm just going to scroll over here to my script to make sure I've got this right. So C is for curatorial. When it comes to growing a team, there is no place you can focus better than the thoughtfulness and care of hiring. It is quintessential to success. It's essential to remember that a team can change its shape every time you add to it. And so taking the time, taking the care with job descriptions, interviews, how you're recruiting is very much worth it in the end. So I'm constantly asking myself, what do I need from this role? What am I missing on the team? What kind of skills gaps do I have on the team? And where am I just fine? So that I'm not recruiting folks into an organization where we are lacking in other skills to complement ourselves. I also think diversity of thought, experience, professional background, cultural background are really important to complement and enhance our entire team. Curating and hiring, though it takes a lot of time, and though it can be highly painful, is essential to building and managing a great team. I've had plenty of times in my career where I've come down to the final candidate pool and I don't have the right person in that pool. And though that project is just around the corner, though it's looming and I know it's got to get done, I will not compromise and bring in someone to the team. And I do not advise my leaders to do the same just because of time pressure to hire. Curation and hiring is a huge ingredient of building your team. The next day, sorry, I'm toggling between my script and my deck, is arrival focused. I was at Peacock when we were 5 employees and now we're 1,000 employees. And one of the things that constantly gets sacrificed in a startup, fast-driven culture is the onboarding experience. How someone arrives into your organization, how they're welcomed into your organization, and how you unleash their potential is a massive driver of how they will be an influence on your team. At Peacock and the creative operations team, we use a couple of tools and then a couple of values to guide this experience. One, we've probably all been there where you arrive at a company on your first day and you don't have a computer and you don't have an email and nobody says hello to you. We don't do that. So every employee that starts at Peacock, they better have an email. They better have access to the tools and systems they need. And so to that end, we house all of our onboarding experience in one consistent form, and then an online wiki, which is a product called Notion, which we absolutely love. We have a name for it. It's called Parliament. It's another bird name. You can look it up. But by going through the Parliament and doing it with a guide, folks should really be able to join and feel part of the team at Peacock. The other thing we do, and this may not work for all of your organizations, is we pair new employees with existing employees. Now, we want to get the balance right. We don't want this to be a boss mentoring their new direct report. We want it to be a peer, but really kind of how that person's experience lends itself to the new joiner's experience is really important to us. So be arrival focused. So we've got through the C and we've got through the A. Next is realistic. So this is important. As leaders, and I could say this for myself, We often want to see the world as it is, but not necessarily see the world. Sorry, we want to see the world as it should be, and not necessarily the world as it is. And great teams will acknowledge their deficiencies as much as they will acknowledge their great success. In doing so is the only way that we can focus in and solve those problems for our team and be really focused on solutions and solutions oriented. You know, at annual review time, we'll often sit down with our employees and we'll talk about, this went well, this didn't go well. This is what I need to start doing, stop doing, start doing, continue doing. And I think we probably learn as much from our failures as we do from our successes. And I've worked in organizations before where things have been a bit rose-colored, where we haven't really picked up and seen what was underneath. But our people see that, and our work suffers from that. And so truly being realistic and focused on what's actually happening in the team is very important. So that's realistic. The second word is a little bit of a cheat, and that's accessible. And this has two meanings for me. First of all, accessible. People need access to the tools and skills they need to do their job. I think I don't want to speak for any of you, but I've been in organizations before, even at Peacock, where we haven't had the right tools in place to do complex media management, to do complex shoot management. Our DAM hasn't been up to snuff. We need focus on our project management tools. We need to continue to build those tools and those systems in order for our teams to have access to the tools that they need to do their job. But they also need access to the skills and training they need to do their job. At NBC Universal, we run a best-in-class talent lab program, and I'm thrilled to say that all of the leaders in the creative operations team have been part of those trainings, whether it's management training, diversity training, and then ongoing upskilling in the world of digital media and entertainment. There's one thing about creative operations professionals that I can say without a doubt, is that our world is always changing, and we need to stay ahead of that with the skills and training and tools that our teams need. But access also means access to leadership. This is probably the most trite thing I'll say, but we truly have an open door policy, whether it's digital or in person. We use a tool called Slack. Many of you probably use it. And I think what's really important to me is that I touch base with every member of that team, all 45 members of that team, at least on a monthly basis. So whether it's me reaching out to ask them how they're doing, to recognize a great event, to ask how I'm doing as a leader, that kind of access is super important for them and for me in order to meet the challenge ahead. Again, today I'm really focused on the softer skills of managing the teams. The next is really for leaders to be vigilant. The world is changing so fast, especially in creative operations and streaming. We have to remain vigilant to what's going on outside of us in the market, both in terms of talent and the rush for talent. I've seen many of our employees get approached for other roles. We've seen the kind of technology change fast. So you really got to stay vigilant and acknowledge what is happening out there in the market. And it's really important that vigilance not just be applied to folks who are not performing in your organization. So we used to think about coaching as like a way to get low performers up. And now we think about coaching and mentorship really for our high performers just as much. And that vigilance about sort of all of the talent in your organization is massively important. So we've got through care of so far, and we've got to get through the AM. The next A is for agile. I love this little guy here. And agility is a hallmark of any great creative operations team. As I said to you at the beginning, we produce 50,000 assets across 2,600 different specs. One day we'll find ourselves doing a massive advertising style shoot. The next day we'll find ourselves producing, dynamically created optimized assets for one of the DSPs. We never know exactly what we're going to face on a daily basis. And so building that agility and resilience into your teams, I think is hugely important. We do have our teams organized across certain verticals. So we have a team that focuses on sports. We have a team that focuses on brand. We have a team that focuses on originals, but we also need to know how to adapt to events that happen within and without those campaigns, to changes in the streaming marketplace, to changes in the ad marketplace, to changes in the creative production marketplace, and to changes, frankly, within a campaign. I don't know about you all, but I've never had a campaign or creative initiative go exactly as I thought I would. And that, I think, is one of the hallmarks of a great creative operations team, is what do you do when something doesn't go right? How do you react, and how do you build that agility and that resilience into your team? We were talking just briefly before we got on the call. We were talking with Kevin and the team for Henry Stewart, talking about return to office. Never have the team had to be so agile as when we have all of these different working paradigms happening in concert with each other. So now we all know, I think, how to do remote creative, right? We've all got set up now. We've got our cloud-based editing. We've got our cloud-based workflows. But now we're relearning at Peacock and Peacock's creative operations team how to come together and where it's beneficial to us to be working in person. And all of that trained agility from campaign, creative operations, from adapting to whatever's happening on the ground, I think it hopefully, and ask me in 6 months, will really benefit us as we get into our new working rhythm. At Peacock, we're returned to the office 3 days a week. We're in Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then we're remote on Mondays and Fridays. But we've got plenty of folks on our team who are permanently remote. And so we need to remain agile to their needs to ensure that our culture survives and thrives. And last and most important, I think, is nourishing. I love this image of this beautiful fruit bowl, but I think I really ask myself every day when I wake up, how can I feed my team, not with in-office snacks, though those are nice too, but with the right challenges, the right benefits, the right rewards, and the right acknowledgement so that they can get more out of themselves than they even thought, and that our team can be better than the sum of its parts. And that really takes nourishing in the form of training, challenges, benefits, rewards, and acknowledgement. We have a couple of ceremonies that we do. We meet on a monthly basis. We produce a video that marks sort of moments of high achievement. We really make a moment of calling out our successes and also our learnings. But nourishing your team is such an important part of them feeling part of the mission. And ultimately, if you really think through, and this is something I'll never exactly get right, but I can work on every day, is how can I feed my team, and how can I feed the team with all of those right challenges, benefits, rewards, and acknowledgements that they need. All of that hopefully adds up to the caravan approach, which colloquially will lead us to having some happy campers on the team. And I think happiness is a true indication, a leading indicator of productivity. And it sounds simple, but if you have a highly engaged, practice team, they will be able to accomplish things, especially in our field, in ways that a team who doesn't have that level of happiness and engagement cannot. So I know I've focused more today on the sort of the softer skills. I'm happy to answer any questions about the harder skills and what it is that we do, but I really want to thank you and appreciate, and we've got about 5 minutes remaining. So Kevin, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it back to you for questions.
Awesome. Well, just quickly, I know like with virtual and these events, you don't have an audience in front of you, but just the stream and the comments, your presentation really resonated. People love the storytelling. They love the video. They love the hearing about how important talent is to Peacock. So great job there. Let's just dive into a couple of quick questions. Do you have a formal training program for your managers, leaders on how to mentor and manage their employees for both correcting behavior and also professional growth?
We do, and those are standardized across NBC Universal. So they extend, Kevin, beyond just the creative operations professionals. But any employee who joins Peacock and is a new manager will go through a program called Jump. And that program will be really about how to manage, how to get feedback, how to manage, especially creative professionals. We focus a lot on the feedback process. I did mention annual reviews, but the feedback process is a year-round activity. It has to be. And also training and developing emerging leaders at the manager level is massively correlated to our success. So if we have great frontline managers who are, I have 45 employees, I do not have 45 direct reports. So having that layer, and for me, it's 8 or 10 folks who are managing those teams and really training them with the skills to be great problem solvers, to be honest brokers. Not everyone is a superstar. And how do you, sorry, that's my timer. How do you train and grow the folks who need help? And needing help is not a deficit until it becomes a problem. And then you also have to manage those types of situations. But we have a program called Jump, and we put every emerging manager through that program.
Awesome. Next question comes from Sam. What project management tools are most important for the team at Peacock?
Hi, Sam. Thanks for your question. So we have, I would say, some systems of record that are super important to us. We do all of our project and order management in Airtable. So we built Airtable to our specs. Airtable is a highly flexible kind of UI that sits above a database. I think many creative operations teams have moved towards using Airtable. We use it both for ordering those 50,000 assets, but also managing the schedules, the assignments, resource planning, and task management. It's not perfect. I think there are other tools like Workfront and others that are a little bit better at that task management, but Airtable is our tool of record for that. We have a homegrown media asset manager that NBC Universal has built. That's massively important to us as we manage those 5 million files. And then we use a DAM from AEM. We also have some new products that we're trying. I don't know if folks have seen a relatively new product called Air, which is a AI-enabled, very light image and database for media management. But we are constantly trying new tools as well to make sure that we're kind of getting the best out of what's in the market. Hope that's helpful, Sam.
Thank you. Alexis would like to know, what would you say is the most important part of employee retention in a creative landscape?
Well, that's a great question, Alexis. So engagement. A lot of people think it's pay, and that's certainly important. But I think engagement is probably the most important part of retention. People want to know that you see them. They want to feel seen and engaged with, and they want to know that their work has value to the organization. I think that's a human condition. I don't think that's unique to creative operations professionals, but I've seen, like, if you could tell me how engaged an employee is, I can usually tell you how successful they'll be in an organization. And so that's part of vigilance, is also understanding if someone's engagement level changes, it's probably an indicator that it's time for some conversations. And that doesn't have to be terrible conversations. They can be constructive conversations. Hey, is something happening that's leading to you not feeling as engaged? So that those conversations happen before that employee goes out and seeks another offer, and comes back to you and says, I'm leaving. We try not to have the I'm leaving conversation be a surprise. And we try to really measure the engagement of all 45 of those team members every day. And we do it through surveys. We do it through one-on-one conversations. We talk about happiness scores constantly in direct reports meetings. So engagement, Alexis, I think is the most important part of creative retention. And you got to pay people as well.
Well, Jeremy, thank you so much. I wish we could sit here and chat with you, but this platform is on timers and we're going to get it cut off if we don't end it here. But I did want to just save 1 minute to say a very big thank you. The attendees loved it. Again, attendees, find them out on the platform, find them on LinkedIn, go stalk them at 30 Rock. You could get all your questions answered by Jeremy. Again, clap for me because you won't see it from the audience, but well done. And any last parting words before we drop off, Jeremy?
Yeah, Kevin, just really appreciate your all of your connections here today and for leading us through this. And yes, as you said, Kevin, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I love to be part of your story as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Okay, take care, Jeremy. Next up in track 1, here's Seltra discussing why the future of creative production is automated. Alternatively, navigate back to the agenda tab and join Frontify in track 2 and learn about how Vacasa stays creative and agile while scaling its brand. See you guys shortly.